Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen.
And I'm John Johnson.
And you're listening to
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books,
the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, comics we want to read, and everything in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books.
Today we are finally we're gonna do the conclusion of Crisis on Motherfucking Infinite Earths. And you last time there wasn't much, nothing much happened. It was all set up.
Yeah.
You know, and this one a lot of stuff happens, so much so I can sometimes not describe what happens because I'm confused. But we will do our best to break it down for you so you don't have to read this confusing, long maxi-series of a book, which I'm not sure exactly why it was made so long or confusing. But, God damn it, Marv Wolfman. I don't know. I imagine Marv Wolfman in his office with like a pin board with strings and faces of heroes and tying around, you know, the clothespins or what are those, push pins on this board in circles and weird writing like monitor question mark, like, you know, and like, you know, just like all these strands of storylines going out that he understands that anybody else who looks at that board would go like, what the fuck? But he gets it. So that's what I imagine happened in the writing of this, because I don't understand everything that happened. We get the gist of almost everything. So hopefully it is clear when we talk about it for you guys exactly what happened. If there's anything we missed or anything you don't understand, feel free to email us or write, you know, Facebook or something.
Give us a comment.
Give us a comment and let us know, because we can figure that out and we'll let you know in the next episode. But this is the best we got up to right now. So the first thing, it starts at issue 6, right? Because we read 1 through 5, so we're 6 through 12. Issue 6 is like, we automatically know this is going to be a big issue. The cover of this issue is Superman like in tears, crying, holding the body of Supergirl.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen.
I wonder who, yeah.
But it could also just be a ploy, because if that cover was on an issue now, you'd open it and Supergirl might not even be in the issue, and Superman might not have anybody happen, or and then he was just talking. He'd be just talking. Man, you know what would suck if I lost Supergirl or something, and then like that's it. So like, you know, this one actually has what it says on the cover, you know. So I appreciated that. There was none of this like leading you with the covers and then nothing actually happens or whatever. Like, stuff happens in this book, and I appreciate that at least. So they wanted to actually, like, you know, make things happen, shake things up, and not just be like a marketing ploy to sell issues with 20,000 covers.
It was it was a little different at the time, though. Like,
I guess so, but you know, they could do it. They could have done it like that back then. So, but anyway, hey, comic book creators, listen to that. Don't just make covers, right?
Yeah. Don't just make cool covers.
Make good stories too.
Nothing to do with the book.
Yeah. So yeah, this one's called Beyond the Silent Night. I'm not sure why it's called that, but it sounds sad, so maybe that's why. But so we left off where Lila, who is Harbinger, is gathering all the remaining the Earth's heroes to tell, like, she's gathering one of each of the Earth's heroes, because there's 5 Earths left in this multiverse, and she's gonna tell them, there's 6, I guess there's technically 6 people, or 6 people she gathers, but 5 of them are from the Earths that exist, and one is Lady Quark, who doesn't do anything, but she's from Earth 6 or whatever. So, and that Earth is gone. So she gathers these people together so she can tell them, finally kind of explain what the fuck has been going on. What has happened here? It only took 6 issues to get an explanation of what the fuck is going on. But she explains the history of the Monitor and the antimatter verse and all this stuff. So basically, what was it, 10 billion years ago? Yeah. There was this guy, or there was this planet, which you may know, called Oa. And Oa is, as we know, if you kind of into the Green Lantern, is where the Green Lanterns like get their power rings from. there's like these little blue guys that like give them their power and stuff. But apparently they didn't always look little and blue. Apparently they had other, they've evolved and stuff into that form. But 10 billion years ago, they had the planet Oa, and there were these smart motherfuckers. And then there was this other guy on the planet who thought he was the smartest guy, and his name was Krona.
Krona. Any correlation here with what's going on this year?
It's spelled different.
Some evil, yeah. I know.
But it's just Krona with a KR. There's no O in the middle there or anything. So,
True.
But he's like, hey, I want to see the origin of like the universe and time and everything. So I made this machine, and I'm gonna go in there, use it, and I'm gonna like see how the universe was made, like how whatever happened. We don't know when that happened, but he gets a machine, huh?
But this is gonna tell me.
Yeah, this is gonna tell him, and like so the people there are like, you should not tempt fate. Do not look into the universe. He's like, you're just a bunch of dumb, non-sciencey scientists who are all about coulda not shoulda or whatever. So so he's like, no, I'm gonna do it. I think it's gonna be awesome. So he goes back and looks at the history of time through with his machine, and what happens is he inadvertently creates the multiverse and the antimatterverse.
Yeah.
So like he like first what happens is he looks back in time, and like I don't know what his machine does, but it creates a crack, and he sees like a hand kind of like reach out, and so it looks like a hand, at least in the vision or whatever, or in like the screen, but it reaches out and he's like, what the hell? And then all of a sudden he sees like a bang. And then there's like, instead of one Earth or one universe, there's like 50 universes or more. And then all these different Earths and universes happen, which we know from the last week's issues created a weaker universe because they're all multiverses. They can't protect themselves because they've been split apart. So they have to be together in one to make a stronger universe, which comes into play later at the end of this, these couple issues. And then,
it's more backstory to backstory, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And then he also creates the antimatter verse itself, which is like the, I guess, polar opposite of our verse. But that's where basically it's like its own universe, like pocket universe, where there's a lookalike planet or like a sister planet to Oa called Quard, and that's where the Anti-Monitor is born. Quard has a moon, and it's got, I guess, like the ability to make life, and what comes out of that moon is the motherfucking Anti-Monitor. So he is born, and because he is born, the Monitor is also born.
Yeah, somewhere else in this
in our universe or whatever,
all of time in the universe, this has to be born
in the, I guess, matter universe.
And this one kind of cool because this one was kind of it was like a parallel kind of thing, whereas Monitor was the guy who becomes Monitor is a scientist,
right?
And then he creates a machine. He's like, I'm gonna look at the universe.
Yeah. So there's just a bunch of crazy fuckers that are like, I'm gonna look at time and space and fuck it up.
Yeah. Why doesn't everybody want to do this? Because everybody want to just look and see how things are. No, yes. Just me. Okay. Well, I'll go into this machine.
Yeah. So on Quard, we get the Anti-Monitor being born, and he's like instantly like, I'm a god. I'm going to make my own warriors, and he makes these really lame looking warriors. That have like golden armor, but they're in Speedos.
Yeah, they look they're out of like Flash Gordon.
They do. They look like something like that, or I don't know. They look like they should be with the like Wonder Woman armor that.
Oh, there you go.
You know, they could fight alongside her with the wings and stuff. They have winged helmets and, but only they have no pants on. I don't know. Why don't you fight with pants? But yeah, apparently. So they got these warriors, and then he also made shadow demons, which are those warriors that he like even makes more badass or something. So the shadow demons of what we've seen so far, and they've been attacking from the last episode we did, from the last issues that we read of this. They've been attacking the multiverse and all that stuff. So and then Anti-Monitor finds out, wait, I feel like there's a monitor on the other side of this, or like world or whatever. So like him and the Monitor fight it out, and they just like are equal in power and equal in strength and everything. So like they blast each other with all they got, and they end up knocking each other out, I guess, for eons.
Yeah. Who knows?
They're sleeping. I don't know. They're both asleep. It's funny because the way they showed is like then they pass out, and then like hundreds of thousands of years later, this other guy makes another machine. So this guy, there's a guy named, we know who it is in the later future, Pariah. We don't know what I can't remember what his name is in the actual world or whatever.
Yeah,
his name's not Pariah. Obviously, he's a pariah because of what happens, but Pariah, who we've seen like appear in it's his lot in life to watch people die because he fucked up somehow in his prior life. So this is what happened in his prior life. So Pariah is using a machine to observe what the beginning of the universe again, basically what the creation of the multiverse now, and what he sees is the whole multiverse and the antimatterverse being made, and he's like, hold on a second. And this guy, instead of having like a screen, I thought this was cool. It's like a box. It's like a big cube.
Yeah.
And he can walk into it. So he's like, let me take a look at this even closer.
What's going on?
So as he walks into it, him piercing the box released the antimatter verse into our verse, and that's why the antimatterverse is now taking over all and like killing all these multiverses.
Yeah, and that's where it starts. I mean, he goes one by one and starts. That's how he's getting. So powerful.
His verse was the first verse to die. It even shows as he's like walking into the little cube. He's like, "Wow, this is amazing!" Like you see the white wall appear, and it just starts killing everybody on his planet, and it only protected him because he was inside of the cube. So like everything vanishes, and then he gets out. And he's like, "Oh my god, I killed everything," and so that's. Like, basically, this is like a warning to all, like, inquisitive motherfuckers. Like, hey, maybe think a little bit before you act. You know what I'm saying? So, this is an anti-science book. That's what I give him. But, yeah, this is like, the point of this is everybody who's got a machine that can look in the past, please don't do it. It will ruin everything. So...
Yes.
But yeah, so that's how Pariah is born, and that's how the antimatterverse goes from just existing to actually being a threat to us. So there was one guy with a machine, and another guy with a machine, then another guy with a machine. So there's a lot of guys with machines that do stuff in this that they just want to look at the beginning of the universe or whatever. So, and that also, I guess because he releases the antimatterverse, awakens the anti-monitor. So that's how like we're at now. So the anti-monitor's awake, and of course the monitor wakes up because of that too.
Yeah.
And so now that's where we're standing at this moment, where the white wall of antimatter's burning its way through all these planets. It's finally now we're down to 5. And that's the history she told. So.
And Monitor actually saved Lila's life.
Yes, yeah, as part of like one of he saved her life from being taken by the antimatter.
They didn't really say. I just assume it's because of her, the harbinger in her that.
Yeah, I assume he saw like what he's like. I need you for stuff, so.
I guess we'll save you.
Yeah, so, but she came in handy, obviously. Yeah. So he had a plan. So then we get. Now they're like coming up with like okay, now we got to fight. We got to fight this anti-monitor now that we know, where he came from and everything. So the plan they come up with is Alex Luthor Jr., who was a baby that is now a teenager, who grew up real fast in the last issues. He is made of both. They revealed in the last couple issues. He's revealed of
he's both positive and he's both positive and antimatter.
Yeah, or just matter,
or just matter itself. Yeah,
and so he's both those things. So they realize, hey, I can like make a doorway with my body, and you guys can then go into the antimatterverse. So that's how they actually get to the antimatterverse.
Yeah, Pariah is going to be their guide, and they're going to go into the antiverse.
Yeah, and Alex is the doorway. So they are like, okay, cool. All we're gonna do is get our heroes together. We're gonna go fight. We're gonna walk through Alex's body.
Yeah.
He becomes all like celestial looking when this happens too. Like he's not just like, we're gonna tear this kid open or whatever. We're like
no, there's like a glowing portal.
Yeah, it becomes like spacey or whatever. So
I do like when they go through and they go to they see monitors, like anti-monitors, like it's kind of like a fortress. It's like a stone fortress of solitude kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like it reminded me of like Thanos with death and like the little thing floating.
It did. Yep, that is exactly.
This whole thing reminded me a lot of, like we already said, the Infinity Gauntlet series, because it's the same creators, or at least the same artists and everything. So it had a lot of the similar looking stuff. And I bet that's what he was just like, I already drew this like 2 years ago or whatever.
We have this story. It's similar enough. We'll take some.
Yeah. Or wait, no. Infinity Gauntlet came out like 89 or something, right? So, okay, so he drew this first, and then he was like, wait, I already drew that stuff. Let me just rehash it. So in this, they go to Quard, and Quard looks a lot like, or at least where, I guess it's the moon that is for Quard, where the Anti-Monitor lives, looks a lot like, it's just a rocky surface, but like the rocks can shapeshift, and like he can like make them fight for him and stuff. So it's not just like a abandoned castle kind of thing. It looks all craggy though, like there's no like form really, but you could kind of see like him. He tried to make it look like a castle, but it's not quite like it's not smooth stone or anything. So they begin to fight him, like as they get there, and the heroes that are there, I just wrote them down so that we all know who's fighting this epic battle. We got both Supermen. So there's Superman from Earth 1, who's the regular one that we know, and Earth 2, who's the old one. Then we got Dr. Light, Supergirl, Firestorm, Captain Atom, the OG Green Lantern, the one that's hurt by wood, so instead of yellow or whatever. So, and then Martian Manhunter and Captain Marvel, and there was like one or two others, but I don't remember their names, and they were so like didn't matter at all, so I didn't write that down. And just Captain Marvel as in Shazam, not the Marvel Captain Marvel. It just gets more confusing, you know. So yeah. They're fighting. Everybody's getting their ass kicked, kind of.
The Kryptonians are definitely like weakened by this. They're not.
Yeah, and like I think it's because they're in the Animaniverse. Their bodies don't react the same way. Obviously, there's no sun there and stuff. So, but for some reason, Kara, Supergirl, she sees Superman getting beat up, and she's like, no,
not on my watch.
Yeah, and so like she fucking goes ham and beats the fuck out of the Anti-Monitor. And at this time, I think last time I had said I didn't know this body from the Anti-Monitor because all the pictures I've seen of him are in his like third reincarnation. So this is his second reincarnation. So how he gets his third body is she beats the fuck out of him and destroys his whole body.
You know, maybe it's like Frieza. Maybe it's just like different forms of.
Yeah. I don't know.
This isn't my ultimate true form. You haven't seen my full power.
My full power. Yeah,
but she beats the crap out of him.
Yeah, she does like an awesome job. I mean, like I've never really read the old Supergirls or anything, but I wouldn't think that she's more strong than Superman necessarily or anything. But maybe she doesn't need the sunlight or something, or I don't know. I don't know where her powers come from because I haven't read. Maybe she's got a different power set or something, but she is able to beat the fuck out of the Anti-Monitor and then destroys his body. And also why they're there, I forgot this part. The reason why they're there really is because, so the Earths, their frequencies have been slowing down and they're colliding into each other and they're like going to destroy each other if they all collapse into one.
Yeah, everything's been going haywire.
Yeah, everything's been going weird.
Different timelines, just to kind of a refresher.
Yes, so... Yeah, this was like all last week we said that, but now just in case you missed it, yes, there's 5 Earths left. They're going to collapse into each other because their frequencies or phases are they're out of phase originally, and now they're slow. All their phases are slowing down into one phase. If you understand electrical theory, that might make more sense. So, so there's a machine. The reason why they're slowing down is because Anti-Monitor has made a machine that slows down the phases of the Earths. So that was just revealed when they got there. This wasn't like something we knew until they get there, but apparently everybody else knew that. Like the heroes are, we got to destroy
the machine.
His machine. And it's like, oh,
he's got a machine.
Yeah, that's why the Earths are slowing down or whatever. So Supergirl, when she's beating him up, like pushes his now non-corporeal body or whatever into the machine, destroying the machine. And then the funny thing that happens, the machine blows up, but like while she's fighting him, Dr. Light's like, wait a second, maybe you should. And then like Supergirl's like, wait, what'd you say? And she like turns around, and then the Anti-Monitor's like, haha, stupid girl, turning your head in a fight, and then like blasts her with his energy beams out of his eyes. And then and
that is too much for Supergirl.
Yeah, and she fucking dies. Now this is like the official death of Supergirl. There's no bullshit. This is the original Supergirl, I guess, from the 60s, maybe even earlier than that. She is Superman's cousin, and she dies. And this is like the big first death of this series, where like Earth 2 Superman is like, no, because I believe she's Earth 2 Supergirl. So, and so Monitor is able to escape, and he gets like, it's funny, like just one of the spires off of his rocks castle like shoots off. So I guess, oh, that's the escape pod, I guess.
I'll get you next time.
Yeah, and so his non-corporeal body escapes in this escape pod with Psycho Pirate and the Flash, who we kind of forgot to mention, but they are also on this rock, or they were in this rock.
Yeah, but the Flash is captured still.
Yeah, he's still captured. But yeah, like that's basically Psycho Pirate is like useless at the moment, and also Flash is out and captured. But they're all on this escape pod that's now going to Quard, the official planet, not just this moon. And then all the heroes, I guess, they're like, yeah, we beat him.
Yep, they're like, we're going back to Earth.
Yeah, so they go back to Earth, and then everybody mourns Supergirl. She died. She dead, and everybody's like, I can't believe it.
Cars did.
Yeah, I mean, there was like a big fanfare. Like every newspaper on every Earth has to like give their like, you know, obituary or whatever for her, like her farewell. And then issue 7 starts, and that issue 7 is called A Flash of Lightning. So obviously this has to do with Flash, and this is another big issue.
Yeah.
I mean, like the one thing I liked about this second half of the book is like stuff actually happens, as opposed to in the first half of the book, where it was like build up, and pause right before stuff happens. So, so in this, Flash is still under, you know, under hold by Anti-Monitor, and Anti-Monitor is dead, right? Like that's what Psycho Pirate thinks. So he's like, what am I gonna do? My master's dead, and they might kill me, and I'm a big pussy.
Yeah, and he's like, I have to recharge my powers, so like I'm not like, I'm not in like any good fighting shape or whatever.
Yeah, and then Anti-Monitor shows up with his new badass armor, which is the armor that everybody kind of knows him as later on.
It's very like Hulkbuster Juggernauty, like very big.
Yeah, it's very big, and like not a lot of facets or anything. It's just like one big shell or whatever. Like he looks like an egg or whatever, you know, like big with arms and legs or whatever. So, but yeah, I always said his new badass armor much scarier, I thought, because he doesn't even have like a face barely in this. He's just got like a weird mouth that has like weird teeth and stuff. I don't know. He looks scarier than his original armor to me, at least. Then we cut to like randomly, which we've never seen this whole time, Darkseid. And the Darkseid is sitting there and he's like, I'm watching, like
I've been watching the entire time.
Yeah, he's like, I've been watching this whole thing. I don't even know if he must be in the negative verse or whatever, the anti-verse, Matterverse, because he's like sitting there and he's like, but I'm hidden. I have hidden myself so that they can't see us like an apocalypse or anything. And I'm just planning to see who wins the final battle. And then once that person wins and they're like weakened from the fights, I can
destroy them.
Yeah, I will destroy them, and then we'll take over the universe. So he's just waiting like he normally would. And then we see like now on Quard.
I'm sorry. I just want to say I love how like that's like the master strategist. It's like, I'll just wait for those other two people to fight, and then I'll go. Like, I guess, but like that's just such a cop out for being like
the strongest,
baddie.
Yeah, if you're gonna say you're like the most badass person in the universe, that you can't be like, I'm gonna wait.
Then sitting on the sidelines
Yeah.
and playing and then fighting the person who's like weak.
Yes. Yeah, because I mean, like we'll find out other people don't sit on the sidelines and wait just for stuff to happen or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, they get involved. So
it's just funny that like
yeah.
Okay.
So Darkseid, he's just waiting like a bitch, and he's just like he's just sitting there like, I mean, I'm strong. Don't put me out, but you know.
But I'm waiting.
I'm gonna wait. I'm just gonna wait. I don't want to fight, you know, just in case. Yeah. So I tore a muscle on my leg, my hammy. So
I gotta stretch. I gotta do a couple stretches before.
yeah, I gotta sit out before.
I just ate. I gotta wait like at least half an hour.
So yeah. So then we see on Quard now that Andy Monitor's landed there, and he's like, Psycho Pirate, like, stop being a bitch, and like Flash, we still have you. He's building an antimatter cannon now. He went from I'm gonna merge the Earth to I'm just gonna destroy the Earth. It's gonna be like the Death Star, bitch, and he's gonna destroy all the Earths with this antimatter cannon. So
he's got a bunch of like slaves building it.
yeah, he's got a bunch of slaves, and he's got like all his warriors set up, his golden, warriors, and
golden warriors.
and yeah, they're all there. And Flash, who's still alive, he's looking, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so weak, Psycho Pirate. Like, come here real quick. I need some water or whatever." Like, he like basically gets Psycho Pirate to like get close to him, and then he's like, "Just kidding. Like, I'm fully aware of everything now, and I figured out how to escape this like weird bonds you're holding me with."
He's in like this like weird like kind of like goo stuff. I did like this is like I
like
his quips.
he's been vibrating slowly, faster and faster and faster,
and he's like, "Eat Jello."
Yeah. Well, that's that's Barry Allen for
Yep.
you. And so he escapes, but he grabs Psycho Pirate. And I like this. He just tells Psycho Pirate to like make like golden warriors that they stop in front of. They're like, "You hate him. You hate Andy Monitor. He's the son of a bitch. He didn't give you breakfast today," or whatever. Like, like he stole your lunch money. You've always hated him. And then like, so then the guard will be like, "Oh, I hate Andy Monitor," and then they start attacking him. And then they do this a bunch though, to like, because he's the Flash, so he runs like a bunch of these guys simultaneously, and he basically corrupts all the warriors. And while the warriors I guess start attacking Anti Monitor, Flash is like, "I must stop this cannon, and the only thing I can do is like run into it." And he sees the power core, and there's like, there's like this weird ladder or like lattice around this like antimatter core that's floating. And the antimatter is just like, dots floating in space or whatever. Yeah. So like, it's not very like creative as far as like what it looks like. But the Flash is like, "Okay, like the only thing I can do, I have to like destroy this core. I'm gonna like run as fast as I can around it, and somehow I know that this will like blow it up or destroy it." So he does that, and when he does that, that's where all of those flashes we've seen of him through the time stream, like earlier in last week's episode, and like all the issues prior, like where he appears in front of Batman and he appears in front of Wally and all these people. That's what that happened, because like when this happened, he went back in time to all these sections as he's like dying, like as he's running faster and faster, he's dying, but that energy that he's using is going to destroy the antimatter cannon, and so he eventually does die, and it explodes, and he kills the cannon.
And the way he dies is really cool, because like you kind of saw it before, but then they really like point out like he runs so fast that like he like destroys his molecular body, and like it just like slowly fucking fades away. Like that was crazy.
And that's one thing that like this led to later on is like the idea of the Speed Force. Like we're like, oh, he was lost in the Speed Force forever.
Yeah.
And so now, like, that's what it is. Like, he was in some weird, like, kind of like how, like, in Guardians, or no, in, what was it, Hank Pym, like, his wife is lost in the quantum zone, or whatever. It's like that kind of thing, where, like, you're lost in your own special universe because you're the Flash and it's the Speed Force or whatever. So, that explosion, because it, like, blows up, kills Flash, obviously, like, he dies using all of his energy to blow it up, but it also wakens up the Spectre. And for all those of you who don't know the Spectre, did you know who the Spectre was like beforehand?
I think vaguely, only because that the one before we read it was like, we go to the grave of Green Lantern. It's like, oh, miss you, buddy. And then the Spectre appeared, and I was like, oh, is the Spectre going to bring back
Oh, you're talking about an identity crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the only time. That was when Hal Jordan was the Spectre, because later on, spoilers, Hal Jordan goes bad, gives his life to save people after he killed a bunch of people. And then because of that, like, part of his, like, kind of repentance or whatever is he's got to be the Spectre for a while. So I think he's only Spectre for like 10 years or something like that. But I think that was like in 1995. So that's like after all this. But before that, a dude named Jim Corrigan was always the Spectre.
That's the detective.
For like literally every age, there's another guy named Jim Corrigan who also becomes Spectre. Like the first one was in like the 40s or whatever, and then the 60s, and then the 70s. They're all different guys, but they're all named Jim Corrigan. So, yeah, but they become the Spectre, and basically he's kind of like what would you call it? He's like death. He's like vengeance. He's a spirit of vengeance. He can shrink down to like human form, like human size, and like fight crime if he wants to, or like make people feel bad about what they've done and like want to turn themselves in and stuff. But he can also like be the size of the universe itself and like fight epic, beings and stuff. So he's got a lot of power if he wants, and basically he wants once he wakes up. So he wakes up at the end of this issue, and that's how we know like shit's gonna get crazy. So the next issue starts. It's called Warzone, and this is what I was saying. Like other villains, like kind of take advantage of shit going on. So instead of sitting by the sidelines like a Darkseid and Apocalypse, Brainiac decides, hey, I'm gonna assemble like the League of Villains or whatever. I'm gonna like get all these bad motherfuckers, and we're gonna silently, like while the heroes are like fighting in the Animaniverse and stuff, and they're mourning Supergirl, we're going to take over 3 of the Earths. So like they take over Earth 4, X, and S. So that's like the Uncle Sam universe.
Yeah.
That's the Charlton world, and that's also the the Marvel verse, like the Captain Marvel.
Oh yeah,
universe.
the Shazam verse.
Yeah. So they take over those, and what's going on the Earth right now is, so once the machine that was putting them together, like when Laura destroyed the machine, or Kara destroyed the machine, Supergirl, and she died, that machine was merging the Earths, and now it's not. Now they stopped. They're kind of on their own, but they were merging. So now there's like a zone of like
some like
overlap.
Yeah, they call it like the warp zone or something.
Yeah, it's like, what's it called? What is that called? Where like you have a Venn diagram. Yeah, you have a Venn diagram of these 5 Earths where there's like a middle where they're all kind of touching, and where they're touching, it's like chaos. It's like this Earth is like a World War I Earth, and this Earth is like a dinosaur world, and this Earth, like all this weird crap is going on, and like everybody's worried about these like wars erupting and stuff, and so they're kind of not focusing on everything happening, and they've like all the heroes have gathered on Earths 1 and 2 after Kara died to like get the UN together and like decide like, hey, we're not going to war over all this stuff that's going on in this weird middle 5 Earths thing. And while they were doing that, Brainiac like took over those 3 Earths. So it was very smart of him. And one of those bad guys is named Simon, which I like a lot because he's Psimon. So he's like Psy, like psychic or whatever, Mon. But he's got like a weird brain. He's got like like his brain is exposed in like a glass shield or whatever. And he while Brainiac has like talked to the Earths, and he's been like, you will all give us what we want, like we will take over everything and kill everybody if you don't give us what we want, like we're gonna hold you hostage. Simon is like, surprise motherfucker, I'm gonna double cross you. So he like double crosses Brainiac when they're just waiting for the Earth to like give up. So it's kind of like he thinks he's gonna take over the operation right as all the other Earths are gonna like give them what they want. So he actually like blasts Brainiac, blows him up, blows his body up. And I like how they did this. Lex Luthor, the bad guy, is in his little power suit like he has. And he's talking. He's like, hey, Brainiac, when do you think hear from them next. And then he doesn't get an answer. And he's like, Brainy? And then like, like whatever his pet name is for Brainiac, he's like, how come you're not? And then he looks over and he explodes. And then Simon's like, haha, I will now be in charge of this whole operation. And then he's like, he will never be able to make himself back together. I have blown him to like 1,000 pieces. And so, that's like where it ends, where you just think, oh shit, Brainiac just got blown up or whatever. And like, what's going to happen now? Simon's in charge. And then this is like the best thing ever. Issue 9 starts with immediately Brainiac being like, fuck you. And then like all of a sudden a Brainiac appears, like another body, and he like blows the brain out of the top of this dude's skull. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I thought it was very cool. He was like, haha, fooled ya. And like, he double crosses the cross of Simon.
Double cross.
Yeah. You can't triple stamp a double stamp. Yeah. So he like double crosses the double crossee and then shoots the brain out of the guy. So he totally fucking kills Simon.
Yeah, it was awesome.
He like blows his brains out all over the place. And so like, yeah, I was like, that was fucking awesome. Like this was like way violent what I thought for like an 80s comic, you know, especially because this is like when there's still code following and stuff. That was pretty violent. You see a brain explode out of this dude's head. Like it breaks through the glass and it's all like, you know, so I thought that was cool. Then we're just going to say this because it kind of has something to do with Infinite Crisis later on, which Infinite Crisis is the next book we're going to read, which is like the follow-up to this crisis. And so we're just going to say this, but it doesn't really have any merit to the story, really. Superboy Prime shows up. Now, Superboy Prime, what that means, Prime Earth is one of the multi-Earths that was destroyed, and that is, Prime is generally considered our world. Like, where the comics are written, there was apparently a Superboy that's kind of the inspiration for all of the Supermen comics and stuff. So, Superboy Prime shows up, and he's like, hey, guys, I'll help out, too. And they're like, okay, cool. So, it's not that big of a thing. Like, I don't know why they needed him to be here, but
he doesn't really do. I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, there's a setup.
The only reason we are mentioning it because it sets up another book like that we're going to read.
But yeah, he doesn't. I mean, he's only maybe like 5 or 6 pages overall.
Yeah, like literally.
He's not really here to do much.
Doesn't matter. All right. So yeah. So as everyone is fighting on the multi Earths and everything, you get like all the the bad guy from I can't remember his name. The bad guy from Captain Marvel, like Shazam or whatever. Like I can't remember the dude's name, but no, there's a bunch. There's like every bad guy from all those old other comics and stuff. They're all teamed up. They're all fighting. They've got like all the Shazam family tied up and everything, and it looks dire for all the heroes. And then they start to break out, and then they start turning the tables against the bad guys. And it's all epic and everything, and then it's also confusing because I'm like, why are we reading this? What's going on with the monitor and all that stuff? I get we're supposed to think the monitor is dead now, I guess, or like at least injured, but he's still alive. We know, right? And so, he basically Spectre shows up, and like he's like giant Spectre in this, and he like just talks to all the Earths at once and is like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, hey everybody, stop
fighting. Anti-Monitor is still alive, so we need to fucking do something about this. And he's like, he's not dead. I don't know why you guys thought he was dead, because he was just like by the Flash, like the Flash took out his cannon, but I guess like they didn't know that. I guess they don't know what happened with the Flash, other than they saw the Flash appear a couple times, but they don't know the Flash is dead. They don't know that he's still, I guess that the Monitor is still alive on Quard with his new body. Yeah. And so even though he was kind of like beat up by his own guards or his own Golden Warriors, I guess he's recovered from that.
He's still well alive.
Yeah, they think he died when Laura, blew up the whole Earth conversion or Earth bring her together machine or whatever. Yeah. So now everybody's like, oh shit, the Spectre told us everybody's like or that the Monitor or the Anti-Monitor is alive still. So the heroes and the villains now they got to team up. They're like, okay, we make a plan. The villains with Lex Luthor are gonna go back in time, like 10 billion years or million, whatever it is, to when Corona was looking through his original machine.
Yeah, they're going to Oa.
They're going to Oa 10 million years ago to stop Corona from creating the multiverse. And then the heroes are going to go to the dawn of time, where now Anti-Monitor has gone. He's like traveled there because his idea, and this kind of makes sense, like he was the hand that kind of showed the pulled the verse through and created the, antimatter, all this shit and everything. So it's weird. Like it's like which one is it? The chicken made the egg, or kind of thing. Like that's what they were alluding to, kind of thing. So, but he goes to the beginning of the universe before it was made, I guess, or like while it's right as it's being made, the dawn of time. The heroes are there. They're gonna fight him. So, as he's fighting them, he's draining their powers to like break through that time barrier.
Yeah, like what is he fighting? He's like, actually, this is part of the plan too. Like, I'm going to drain all of your powers as well.
Yeah, so he like figured out a way to drain all the heroes' powers so that he can break through to Krona. And this time, he, instead of just causing the multiverse and everything, he was going to destroy the entire positive matter universe and just have the anti-matterverse. And so, right when he's about to do that, the Spectre appears and reaches down and grabs his hand and is like, I got you, bud.
Spectre will stop him.
I got you, Anti-Monitor. And so he grabs the Anti-Monitor, and he, along with all the Mystic heroes, he's like channeling all the like Dr. Fate and Zatanna and anybody who's like a Mystic hero. Constantine, I'm sure, is there, and everybody. They're like he's using them to like get their power to help fight him. And when they do, it works. We get a big old boom. Supposedly the Anti-Monitor is dead. And that is the end of this issue.
Yes.
Get a big boom. And then issue 10 starts and we see what happens. But the Big Bang happens again. But this time
you see cracks.
You see cracks, but also you just see one Earth.
Yeah, one Earth.
There's just one Earth. With one universe, there's no anti-man reverse. There's just one universe and one Earth. So this is the problem, though. All of the 5 Earths that had heroes from those 5 Earths and other places they have now converged into one Earth, and it has caused mass confusion and chaos. So you get heroes that, like Earth 2 Lara is now not Supergirl.
Yeah.
People don't remember her as Supergirl. They're like, wait, who died? And then the same with Earth 2 Superman. They're like, wait, who's this? We don't know who that is, because all their memories have changed, because like basically randomly, however they wanted to separate these stories, the DC writers are like, okay, we still want to have this character. We don't want to have that character.
Yeah.
So whoever they didn't want to have either got forgotten or vanished.
Yeah.
Phased out or whatever reality. And then anybody who they did want to still write stories with is now the main one. So
and that's fun because like it shows like Kal-El from Earth 2 open his eyes and he's like, oh, that was a dream or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna go to work and everything will be fine. And so he gets his bit suit on and goes up into
what's his name?
Perry White.
Perry White's Perry White's office, which I guess he's the editor in chief in his. And
he goes sit down, and Perry White walks in and he's like, what? And someone's ghost or whatever.
Who do you think you are, sitting in my chair?
Yeah.
That's my office.
And this is one of the best saves because then Clark Kent comes in from Earth 1 and is like, hey, Uncle Clark, like, this is the Clark I'm named after. Like, he's just checking, looking around.
That's why he looks just like me, but with gray hair. You get that, and you get, like, I think also in this time you get, like, this is one funny thing I thought, since we read the Teen Titans and everything. You get Dick Grayson as Nightwing finally meeting Starfire's parents.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And she's like, oh, parents, let me introduce you to my lover. Nightwing. And he's like, oh my, you guys are so forward. I forgot. Like, your race of alien is so forward, which is why Starfire wears what she wears, I assume.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So So yeah, like he's all embarrassed and stuff. But I thought that was funny that they like included stuff like that because if you've been reading, I mean, this is the team that wrote the Judas contract and everything, so they just include like little things that they like. But yeah, but everything's kind of in chaos because, like we said, there are some people who are gone and some people who aren't, and the main one that like finds out that like is ruined by this is actually Superman of Earth 2. Yeah. Old Superman finds out that his Lois doesn't exist anymore, and he flips the fuck out. He's like, what the fuck? Like, my Lois, I love her, and she's gone. And he flies off in a rage. And then so Superman, Earth 1 Superman fly after him to like calm him down or whatever. But then when that happens, some like clouds start to appear, and we see like all of a sudden like the Earth that's now the only one Earth is now brought into somewhere. It was like taken out of its universe and brought into, we found out, the antimatter universe. And so, all right, so like we're finally here. The Monitor has brought him, or the Anti-Monitor has brought Earth to the antimatterverse to be like, hey, fuck you guys. You can't get away from me. He appears all menacingly in red. You said you liked that shot, right?
Yeah, that was cool in the comic. It was like his like outline of his face in the cosmos of in red. It was cool.
Yeah. So that like, I don't know, just it looked cool. And then that's like the end of that issue pretty much. And then the next issue starts. Now we're in the antimatterverse and battles are going to happen. Lots and lots of battles. The Monitor looks like he's going to fall, and then he keeps coming back.
Yeah, it's
weird shit happens.
It is a lot of like fake out. Like this, honestly, this is the first time in a comic in a while I was like, can the bad guy just die already?
Just fucking die already.
Because there's so many fake outs. It felt like that the one Austin Powers, like, why won't you die?
Yeah, exactly. Like the guy just keeps, like you hear him underneath, burning alive or whatever. It's just like number 2. That's what it is. And it's just like, come on, man. Like,
just die.
Just fucking die already, all right? But like, he keeps coming back. He keeps getting menacing. They'll throw everything they got at them. They look like they're gonna beat him, and then, something else happens. And then, like they do like weird segues with like, okay, we got this plan. We're gonna use the cosmic treadmill, and like the other Flashes that are alive now are gonna use that, and then it doesn't really go anywhere. Like it doesn't have anything.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have a reason for being there other than like giving you like, oh, that's how they're going to beat him. And then, oh, no, it's not.
The only one I thought was interesting enough was because we were talking about Dr. Light before, and this is the new Dr.
They
Light.
finally use her, yes.
Yeah, and then Dr. Light absorbs like all the energy from the sun while Anti-Monitor is losing power. And I'm like, okay, so then she shoots this beam at him, and it's like, okay.
It
so
actually hurts him.
She's going to be the one that takes him out. It hurts him or whatever. But then he like gets energy from all of his like slaves and stuff and the dark...
his shadow demons or whatever.
And I was like, oh, okay, so...
Well, yeah, it's like, okay, so we're just going to kind of collapse all of those, other battles into one, like, okay, that's what happened. And then now we're going to move to the final battle because it's the only one that kind of matters, where you get Superman from Earth 2 is fighting, he's pissed because Lois is gone. He's like, I don't got nothing to lose. I'm going to fuck this guy up. So he starts beating the shit out of Anti-Monitor. You get...
just as he's about, so he's gonna beat the shit out of him. The only thing I want to mention is, the last part of this, right before this battle starting, is Earth 1 Superman and Lady Quark are like, we're gonna take him on, and I was like, oh, Lady Quark, we're gonna find out why she.
There's a reason why she's been here for 7 issues,
and then Earth 2 Superman knocks them both out. I was like, nah, I've got nothing left to live for because my Lois and my universe is dead. So he knocks them out. And they don't do anything.
Right. Like, and what he says knocks him out. Like, basically, like, once, it's weird. Like, they beat the Anti-Monitor for the first time, and then people are like, oh, yeah, we're done, and they leave. And then you can only go in once or something, though, because, like, Alex Luthor's body is how they're getting in and out. So, like, you go in, and you can go out once, and that's it. So, they keep, like, leaving, and then they're out. So, yeah, Superman 2 knocks Superman 1 and Lady Quark out. I guess because he's like, fuck this, I'm going to take this guy on. Dr. Light does shoot him with the beam, and Alex also helps with his, like, draining of sun energy, or I don't know, some weird shit. Antimatter, cosmos, whatever. So like...
all matter and antimatter at the same time.
Yeah. And so... But then the real hero of this story, which comes out of nowhere, because, he's the baddest motherfucker bad guy in the whole like DC world, and then 2, he's been on the sidelines the whole time. I haven't seen him too much. Is Darkseid. Darkseid, he's like, perfect. Like, I got to get rid of this guy. He seems like, well, of course I'll beat him, but he seems too powerful to like just let live or whatever, like to fight with the other, to like let him win. So he's like, I guess I have to, do something. So he shoots his Omega beams through Alex Luthor's eyes into the Anti-Monitor, and that's what really fucking hurts Anti-Monitor. And then Superman from Earth 2 is able to like beat the fuck out of him, beats all his armor off of him. He just, his like destroyed body, he pushes into a sun, which collapses on itself and it implodes. And it's like, yay, we're done. And then when they're done, they're like, it was a very kind of like, I don't know, because so many times they'd won, and then it was like, oh no, it's not over.
It was kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah, it just kind of felt anticlimactic. It's like, wait, is he coming back? I don't know.
So the sun implodes, and then that white. It looks like the white wave that's been taking out all the planets before. I'm like, oh, do we just like restart the cycle?
Yeah,
that's what it kind of felt like for me too.
But it's not. Like, it's just like, okay,
it's just like, oh no, he's gone.
I guess the sun just imploded in the antimatterverse or whatever. So that's the end of the Anti-Monitor finally, and the crisis is over. While everybody else is back on into the Matterverse, our verse, there's still a couple people in the Antimatterverse, and you get Superman 2, who's all sad. He's like, yeah, I won, but like, I wish I had Lois. Well, Alex Luthor is like, guess what, buddy? Wishes do come true. And he pulls Lois out of some weird heavenly dimension, it says, where like everything was nice and peaceful. And she's like, hi, how's it going? Like,
yeah, very kind of like afterlife undertones.
Yeah. And she just says like, oh, it was like a tranquil world I was in, like, and basically he can't let them return to Earth because I guess his body's like drained of energy. Alex can't. So what he does is he goes like, but I can like put you both in this tranquil world if you're cool with that, Superman 2.
Come look at the rabbits, Superman.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me about the rabbits, Lois. She just shoots him in the back of the head.
No,
yes.
They're like, come to this pocket universe that I've created or whatever.
Yeah, so yeah, he's like, okay, like I'll go live with Lois in this tranquil, peaceful world.
And Superboy too.
Superboy is also like, hey, can I come along? And they're like, sure, buddy.
Sure, kid.
Just, close your eyes and plug your ears because we're going to be humping in this dimension. And I don't know. She didn't say anything about like walls or houses or anything. So, but yeah, so Superboy goes too. So, and that only matters because in the next book we're going to read, which is Infinite Crisis, Superboy's in that. And he's like a main protagonist or whatever. Yeah. So, that's why we're bringing that up.
Spoilers.
Yeah, he is in this now beautiful, tranquil dimension with Superman of Earth 2 and Lois of Earth 2. And that's it. Then, like, it's basically just like, and here's what happened to everybody else. And
yeah, so now they're all back on Earth, and like some of the heroes are like, okay, well, I guess I'll just restart over because I wasn't part of this Earth, and the other heroes are just gone now completely. Yeah, and then other heroes
Psycho Pirate's in like a insane asylum because he like freaked out or whatever. And then like I think Dove was the big kill that happened in this of Hawk and Dove.
Yeah. I
believe it's Hawk and Dove. I don't know. I think that's what it is. But the it's Hawk and Dove. Dove gets killed, I think, and so that was like the big but then also Wonder Woman from I think it's Earth 2, that Wonder Woman, she just vanishes in the middle of the fight randomly. And they don't say what happens to her, but yeah, it's like
she gets like blasted and like so we don't know if
it's like reality is erasing her from memory or whatever, something like that. So, and that's it. That was Crisis on Infinite Earths. It was a very long story that I think could have been told in a shorter.
Yeah, it did not need 12 issues.
Yeah, and but it's such a historic event that I think people miss out if they don't know what happens in it, at least, which is why we did this for you guys. We read it for you. So you don't have to read this confusing tome of craziness or whatever. We hopefully explained it enough that you at least get the gist of what happened, who died, how important it was.
I will say, like coming into this, so Matt being the more of the DC guy than I am, like I'm glad that I have this background on DC now more. Like I feel like I understand kind of the overall arc of like how where it's gone from here, and I'm like,
right.
Like,
and
I'm
this
like,
is like
oh,
the main turning point in DC too, because
Yeah.
like this was like, all right, like we're redoing our continuity big time, like right in the middle of the '80s, and that's I think where you get like after this, you get like the main story arcs that are in the '90s. You get like Nightfall and the Death of Superman, and all these crazy like story arcs that are good that we should read also at some point in time. And then
we'll read the Death of Superman sometime. We're gonna do Crises, but
yeah, we talked about like, do we need to do like the Death of Superman now after this, like in chronicle order of like other things? I'm like, we'll do the Crises.
We're
now.
not gonna be in all DC podcasts.
Yeah, we don't want you guys to think we're only reading DC, so we'll take a break after the Crises because there's only 3 of those books, and then so yeah, like we said, we're doing Infinite Crisis next. That is written by Jeff Johns. I don't remember who did the art for it, but Jeff Johns. This is like his big. Hey, motherfuckers, I'm like here, and I'm like an awesome.
Did he
writer.
do Darkest Night as well?
Yes.
Okay, I was like, I feel like that resonates.
He did the Darkest Night because that was the Green Lantern run, but then but Grant Morrison did Final Crisis.
Gotcha.
Like the writing of that, I believe. So yeah, so Jeff Johns, you might have seen his name on every DC movie and television property, and he's like the big hitter there now. But at the time, he was like a brand new, like who's this go-getter writing? He seems to have like a good eye for story and stuff. So at this time, he was like writing that, and like he was just starting the rebirth of the Green Lantern, because spoilers, but at some point in the '90s, Hal Jordan died. So this is like him coming back, and that was his story arc that he wanted to tell. And me and John both love that storyline, so we'll probably read that at some point too.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, John, what would you give this one?
So, taking everything into consideration, I want to give it a fair score because my initial was
because also it's the '80s. We're like
exactly
we're grading it on the '80s curve, but
and the importance of it.
Right.
I'm taking your thing into consideration with it more too
because it is so like this is like the first time this has ever happened. This is the first Maxi-Series. This is
and like you said, like we didn't grade it after the first half because literally nothing happened.
Yeah.
And now all of this stuff happened, but also like it was kind of convoluted a bit.
Right.
So taking it all in consideration and saying that overall there was a lot of cool art. I get the plot points that were the most important and necessary and how things are going forward.
Well, and like the people that died, they fucking stayed dead. Like Flash did not, Barry Allen Flash did not come back until like 2010. That's like almost 30 years. Like I think it's around there, like 2008, 9 or something like that.
That's
it's pretty close to like almost 30 years. And then the what was it? The Supergirl. I don't know when she came back, but she stayed dead for a long time too. So like there's some like really big stuff that happens in this, like Earth 2 and all those guys, those are all dead. I mean, you don't see Earth 2 Superman ever again. As far as like the old man with the gray and everything anymore. So like I haven't seen him in anything like recently or anything. So I don't know how often he appears, things like that. Like you just don't see those characters anymore. And because I think it's because of Crisis. So, that's how big this was kind of thing. So,
and because of the team it's from, I like this way better than Judas Contract.
Yes.
So
yes,
like,
it was
way
definitely better than Judas Contract.
Even though it was longer, like it was way better.
Yeah.
So I would say overall, I would give it a 7. I think
7.
it's solid. This is a solid book. The importance of it obviously is immense. I feel like there was a little too much as far as overall arcing for it that kind of brought it down from like the greatness that I obviously understand it's trying to portray and be. So yeah, I would give it a 7.
Now let me ask you this: giving it a 7 as like what it deserves as far as a number value, but would you like recommend this for someone to pick up and read though? Like the other ones, if I give it a 7, I'm like, you're gonna be able to pick up and read this person. This is the first one we've read where I'm like,
No, honestly, yeah, I don't know if I would be like, hey, buddy, you want to learn DC history?
Yeah, or like some of it.
Yeah, take this. Like, no, because I still had to look up some stuff on the side. As I
I literally had to get like a Wikipedia that's just for this crisis event to be like, what the fuck is going on? So that's why I'm excited to see how does Jeff Johns take all that mess and make it more clear, while also it's only 6 issues long, so like obviously it's more condensed. Like, so stuff like that, I'm interested to see like the comparison into like such big events that are they need to be complex just because there's so much continuity, but like how can like a different writer do it differently, better, hopefully. So we'll see. But so you still give it a 7. Like, I like that, but just I wouldn't give it to someone to read, just for our listeners.
No, yeah, this again, like Matt was saying, we read this. This is not one that you need to go search out and pick up and go into unless you are like ready to dive in.
Yeah.
Headfirst into.
And I only say that because I looked at a bunch of reviews for this and they were like, one of the best epic stories of all time in DC history. And I'm like, if I read that on the back of a book, like those little quotes, those taglines, I would be like, well, I guess I have to read this and like I need to buy it and spend $50 on it or whatever. You don't. Like, if you listen to this podcast, you understand who died. That's all you need to do. It is very heavy. Unless you really, really, really want to like dig into DC history, that's fine. Go for it. Read this. But for the average, even me, I'm like, pretty into DC, pretty into comic books. I mean, I would not have finished this book again. This is like the 4th time I've tried to read this all the way through. And about issue 6 is probably where I start like, all right, I'm just going to tuck that away and come back later when I understand what's going on.
The real question would be, is this one Matt Hansen goes back and buys the trade of hardcover?
No, I looked, I was hoping it would be because I was looking to see how much it is. There is no hardcover out now for it though. So, but they did do I think it's like a $50 or $60 like nice deluxe version of it, which is the one I would have picked up if I had enjoyed it enough. But I would not pick this one up because no one I care about is really in it. Like Swamp Thing is. They mention him.
I think he says one little line.
He gets one line. He's in it like very briefly. Blue Beetle's in it, but he's not like in it really. So like, all my favorite characters and stuff are like not part of it. So it doesn't really affect my story, the stuff I like, except it brought my favorite characters into it. So it's good to know that history. How did Blue Beetle and the Question and those characters get into the DCU? Like right there in 1985. So on that note, I'm going to give it a 6 because it was so hard to get through. And also, it took me a while to figure out how to explain this to someone. Like, how to sit here and talk to the podcast listeners about it was like, what do I say about this? Like we said, this last issue, it was like they battle and then he dies. And then, no, he doesn't. And he comes back. And then they have another plan.
It's literally like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. So I was like, can we just skip over the other 4 and go like to the last one and just say they battle, he dies, they battle, he dies, they battle, he dies. And then, so that way we just skipped over it because I don't have time to like take the listener on these weird trails that really don't go anywhere, because he comes back. So, there was like this whole side thing with like the cosmic, what's it called? Treadmill.
Cosmic treadmill.
And then it goes nowhere. So they're like, never mind. That was a stupid idea. So like things like that is like, I hate this shit. So I'm going to give it a 6, but like a strong, like, once again, if you like DC and like this has such hard, like moments in it that are like important and everything. And I want to give it a 7 or an 8. I just can't. I couldn't read it. Like,
you said a hard, it's got that hard, and it made me think like, this is like, oh, you like sci-fi? Yeah, I like hard sci-fi.
Hard sci-fi.
Only hard sci-fi.
Yes.
That's what this is for DC.
This is your, God, what's the guy's name? I can't remember the name of people anymore. But the guy who wrote like the Necronomicon or not Necronomicon, dang it. Neuromancer, that guy.
Neuromancer.
It's I think his name is Gibson or something. Yeah, it's a Gibson version of of like a comic book event or some shit because it's just like so in depth and crazy and like explaining weird shit that no one understands. It's like that. Yeah, it's definitely hard sci-fi. You're not getting your hand held in this one, and as much as we're trying to hold your hand, I'm sure it's still confusing because you're like, wait, who are these people? Who's that? Who's this? So I hope we at least got that across good enough for the whole story arc that you at least understand what happened and why it was such a big event. Yeah. Like we said, we wouldn't pick it up, or we wouldn't recommend you picking up unless you're already like willing to, you know what you're getting into. You know this is a big event that you want to see the George Perez art. That's really good. You want to see what Monitor looks like because we talk about him and stuff. You want to see what, you know, some of
There's also Google for that, though.
That's true, too. Go Google the Wikipedia of it or whatever, you know. So, but yeah, it's next week, like I said, we're doing Infinite Crisis, which is from like 2004, I believe. It is the follow-up to Crisis on Infinite Earths. So we'll see how that goes. And if you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can email us at planestrains.comicbooks, all one word, at gmail.com.
Don't forget about our Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube channel for exclusive content. We got some cool stuff coming down the pipe.
One of these days, we will get that cool content out. But I have definitely a couple of really good hardcover reviews coming out because I noticed people like that. And we have an unboxing that we've been holding on for a while. We're going to get it. I'm trying to get cameras and stuff better set up and everything, trying to get new equipment.
We want to give you guys a quality product.
Yes. So, you know, that's on YouTube. We have all the episodes up on YouTube and all the Matt's minis and everything, too. So if you, I don't know, want to look, we actually put like pictures of the pages and stuff so you can actually see the artwork from the actual comic on there. So, yeah, if you guys want to check that out. But until next time, we'll see you guys later.
On the next one.
Bye. Well, folks, hope you enjoyed that episode.
If you did and you'd like to follow us on social media, our Facebook is Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, and our Instagram is @Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, all one word.
And be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more recommendations to add to your weekly pull list.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.